What's going on, everybody? Terrell here, and I'm here to talk about a new movie by the name of Infinity, starring Mark Zaror. You know him all too well from John Wick 4 and many other movies. He was just in the Undisputed 3 and Redemption. But now we have Affinity being brought out to the U.S. courtesy of Well Go Entertainment, one of my favorite distribution companies in the game, always bringing out the good stuff. But hey, we got Mark Zaror here, and with this new movie Affinity, supposed to be debuting on digital September 30th. And this is as they quoted, a non-stop action thriller. This is also directed by Brandon Slagle. Make sure I get that right. Also starring Brooke Ange, Jane Miro, Luis Starr. Was also in this movie. I gotta say, going into this again, as you know, if you watched any of my reviews, went into this movie blind, didn't know what to expect, and it starts off, like I said, a bit confusing because, like I said, I didn't watch any trailers, wasn't really sure what this was going to be. But before I give my overall, let me give you the description of the movie for those who are clearly, like, if you're gonna go check it out. Chilean martial arts star Marko Zaror as Bruno, an ex-SEAL struggling with PTSD. He lives a life in fear of his demons until one day he discovers a beautiful woman with no past of her own. Together they begin to build a life, but when she disappears, Bruno must return to his violent past if he's going to save her from a shocking conspiracy in this riveting, fast-paced sci-fi action film from director Brandon Slagle. Um, if upon first glance of this movie, if you told me that this was a sci-fi movie, I would have called you a liar to your face. This movie to me doesn't show up or even begin to be a sci-fi movie until like the last 10 minutes of the movie. Other than that, I'm thinking is okay, PTSD, Exil, going around beating up people. They, the classic. They mess with the wrong guy storyline. Okay, I thought this we were getting. I think Mark Zaror is a phenomenal. He is phenomenal with his martial arts. It's very tight. Almost no reason to think that there's a stunt double that is in this movie as him. Like if he is doing pretty much all of his stuff, and it looks clean, it looks good, and it's fast. That level of speed you almost never really see anymore since like Bruce Lee or Jet Li, Jackie Chan. Very few people where you can get a lot like that level of speed on camera with these types of martial arts movies. Um, but let me get back to the movie. So yeah, we get Bruno. Bruno's dealing with big loss. After going through a mission, which the movie does initially set up. There's a lot I feel like they just kind of dropped the ball on as far as information because even after finishing this movie, which is about an hour 30, maybe hour 20. It's about 80 minutes, so it's about like an hour 20. Um, you start to feel like, okay, is this enough time? Like, do they have enough time to like address certain parts of the story? And the short answer is they don't. I feel like this movie wants to be a sci-fi movie or attempt, but does not have the time to establish that this is a sci-fi movie, which is my biggest issue. Like I said, the action I feel like is was really good. I have, like I said, I mean that is not even the problem. Like as far as the action goes, like and in this kind of stereotype that just because it's an action movie or whatever, like you can't have a good story, it's absolutely wrong because there have been a lot of movies that where you can incorporate both of those elements and it still comes out a really good product. Again, I'm not sure where the story wanted to go, but it didn't quite make it for me. Like I said, once they dropped the sci-fi element to this movie, I was completely out of it. Like I instantly was like, yeah, this is not for me. Marko Zaror does a great job. Showing up and the fights are and the stunt choreography, all of it is incredible. It's a lot more blood in this movie than I was expecting to see. There's a lot more gore than I was expecting to see. But it shows up really really well. I think the gunplay looks really really good in this movie, especially when you're dealing with an ex-Navy SEAL. You definitely want to see some sniping, you want to see some shooting, especially after coming from John Wick 4. You see how great that movie is, and not to say that movie has the best. Those movies have the best story, but I think the story fits the action, if that makes sense. Like I feel like that story justifies why the action is what it is, and there's absolutely no justification for some of the stuff that you see in this movie. Okay, everybody is just Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Jason Statham and in the one movie because after a certain era of like Fast and Furious, everybody gets superpowers. But this movie, like I said, it just lacks a lot of information that I feel like you should have early on in the movie. Like I said, the movie's about 81 minutes. I don't feel like it overstayed its welcome. Honestly, I couldn't wait till it was over because like I just had so many thoughts kind of bubbling in my head. Like, okay, what? Like I said, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but like the sci-fi element is they could have left it out the movie because that's the only thing that really really makes this movie even sci-fi. Because initially you go into this movie like, okay, Exil comes across a drug trade situation. He happens to get involved with a girl. He's gonna break it up. You know the typical story, but that's not at all what we're getting here. Yeah, I go back to the drawing board. I would love to be in the room when the script was being made for this. Like, yeah, okay, this is cool. Mark, can you do this? Okay, we know you can fight. We're gonna have you right. And honestly, I feel like because and this is no disrespect to Marko Zaror, if his acting was better, maybe I don't even think it would have saved it. But like, I will say that is one of the flaws. Is like his acting is definitely not up to par for the level of drama they were trying to do in this movie. Like if he was just a silent, like, ex-SEAL fighting, okay, cool, we would have been with that. But like when you really like get him to start speaking this way, like it starts to show some of the flaw. And again, that's not a shot at him, no disrespect. I'm just saying that is not his strong suit as a action actor. And I'm saying it might come across like later and maybe some of the roles where he hasn't really had a chance to really speak that much. Everybody has to come along. Your Schwarzeneggers, your Stallone. They eventually got to that point, but yeah, this was not the movie to showcase that. And personally, like if this wasn't streaming, I would say, hey, this is not worth the pot to me. If you guys really like the actor and you like the action, I recommend it based on that. I mean, it's a good fold and close movie. You can kind of do what you're doing and watch it in the background, but I don't think this is like a priority watch. And like I said, it's rare that Well Go brings out something and they miss, but unfortunately, like I said, the story just lacks so much for me that it was just so stupid that that the action just kind of got overshadowed to me, even though it was good. I really liked the action, but the story is just unforgivably dumb. And it just needs to go back to drawing board. Please, just at this point, recategorize the movie because this is not a sci-fi action. If you guys see that and you're like, okay, sci-fi, don't get misunderstood. There is a sci-fi element to the movie, but it is not in the movie long enough to justify this movie being an hour 20 minutes or for them to even have that plot point to begin with. But other than that, look, that was my opinion on the movie. Like I said, the movie is going to be coming out on DVD at $20, Blu-ray at $30. It's coming out September 30th. You can get it digital, but like I said, if there's another way you can watch this movie, that you're streaming it, maybe hopefully it gets to one of the big streaming services and you can support it that way. But as far as giving it your dollar, you're a big action fan, but if you don't care about story, then fine. But I don't recommend it. But either way, Affinity, September 30th. Marko Zaror, like I said, the action's good, the story sucks. The acting from everybody else in this movie is better. Everybody but Mark definitely stands out as the worst actor in this movie. And again, I'm not being disrespectful. It's just that the people in this movie are acting circles around him, and that could just be like a language barrier thing, or maybe an English thing or anything like that. But again, it wasn't hitting where I needed to hit. But on that note, it's been Terrell with another review. Again, don't forget this movie comes out September 30th digital, and you can get it on Blu-ray and DVD as well. Thank you, Welgo, again for the opportunity to watch this movie. If you guys have had the opportunity to watch this movie, please leave me a review below and let me know what you thought, because I am also curious to see what other people kind of the melting pot of like your thoughts on where you thought this was going to go to, and where you was about surprises about the story as I was. But on that note, like I said, September 30th, it's been Terrell with another review, and I will see you guys later.